Jordan, good to have you back.
Hey, Brandon. Good to be here.
First, first repeat. So you were the guinea pig on the first round. Now running it back for the first
It's
time. It's good to have you. It feels good.
great. Love that. Love we're doing these.
I'm excited. Okay, Jordan. No need for intros this time. I think we're all kind of aware of what's going on. And so excited to kind of jump in and hear what's happened over the past. I think we're 10 weeks since the last time that we spoke. And I know things move very quickly around here, specifically in the return space. And so excited to kind of jump in and hear what you guys are building. But first things first, last week, I'm not sure if you caught it, but we chatted with Aaron for a little while and he kind of talked through how each of the platform pieces work together across Redo holistically and wanted to follow up on that piece a little bit from the returns angle specifically. And so, from your side, how are you building returns in a way that works cohesively with a lot of the other products that are being built right now at Redo?
Yeah. Aaron probably talked a lot about the just customer record and what that looks like. It's really a consolidation of all of the customer touch points that exist across our products, right? And so some of these brands on order tracking, we know what items were shown to them, what they clicked, and those types of things, and are now being able to document different touch points that haven't existed previously. There's a couple places in the returns experience where one, we can actually provide data and then also use the data. And so the use data, I think, is pretty straightforward, where in the return experience, shoppers are going through such a critical part of the customer journey that is often under thought about or underutilized by brands or under optimized as well. They don't go through. They're testing their site all the time to make the optimal experience. The returns process, when's the last time that some of these brands went through the returns process? And sometimes it's just overlooked. But the customer just purchased something, it didn't work, and now they're returning it. It's actually the perfect time to be using a lot of that customer record and figuring out how do we make this a great experience. And a lot of that comes down to exchange recommendations. And so we're utilizing a lot of what the other products have all built and plugged into that customer record to say, hey, what is a shopper do you want? What have you cared about? What have you clicked on in the past? And also, why are you returning those items that now can like correlate to these other products? And being able to use a lot of that customer record to make the best recommendations possible. So anyway, that was kind of a long-winded answer, but what we're doing is measuring just our exchange rate overall, and that was a number that we kind of talked about last time. But exchange rate's
Yep.
huge for brands, and over the last few months, we've continued to see that tick up as we've done iterations and testing, utilizing the customer record that the teams have building.
I think it's interesting what you were talking about, where returns often comes in as more of an afterthought, or it was like a one-time thought, and then it hasn't even been an afterthought since then, right? It's like you said it, and then it's working, and then customer support handles whatever. But the way that things can be used as more of a growth lever, especially as we head towards like Black Friday, Cyber Monday, where every opportunity that you have to interact with a customer becomes an opportunity for you to be able to generate revenue is very interesting to think about. So, first question, I've got a couple lined up for you. First question would be based off what you were talking about previously on like how people use order tracking and how we learn about customers and it feeds into the exchange agent in different pieces. Can you give me an example or two of some brands that are doing that and the experience that they've had? And then I do want to dive into some of that, like how do you use it as a growth lever heading into Black Friday?
Yeah, totally. We've worked with a couple brands. One to obviously utilize the customer record. Beyond that, we kind of talked about the customer record. We've also talked about the product record. There's also unique things about products, and it's important to understand both of those to make the best recommendation possible to the shopper. So what we've done with a couple of brands, we have introduced and changes things about how we're structuring, how we're utilizing the customer record that has bumped up exchange rate for a couple of brands. There's a couple specifically whose products are a little more nuanced, even within apparel space. Obviously, returns are big in the apparel space, but if you get down to like the swimsuit brand, right? Well, it's actually a little harder to get sizes right. And so return rates are usually higher. But also there's different things about like, some of the swimsuit brands that we've worked with, where we're actually diving into their products and saying, hey, I sat down with the brand and said, hey, if they're returning this item and they say it's too big, what are you recommending? Or if they say they didn't like the material, what are you recommending? Or, and go through like all of their return reasons. And it is fascinating to hear them talk about the different products, especially founders of brands. They know these products hold And so they'll say, well, if they like this type, then I'm going to actually recommend this type. And so one of the features that we recently shipped is basically taking that like match where you can actually take collections and associate them with other collections, but in a way that is actually like giving the AI context on why they are associated in certain ways, right? And so as we've started doing this, we've looked at the recommendations, and it's really, really interesting. Just because size isn't always specific enough. But as they get more specific, there's like, great, this provides more support. This is a little like less tight around the waist. And we're now able to surface those reasons in the product and be right. So
Yeah.
the customer will say this is too tight. It's like, well, yeah, here's actually our looser fitting product, but it actually is the looser fitting product that makes sense. And so you have a better shot at both retaining the revenue there, but also retaining it after the fact and keeping a customer for life.
Yeah, I love that. Tying that to some of the things that Aaron was talking about last week too, where it's like it goes both ways, where what we're learning on email and SMS and what people are responding to there that feeds into the record that gives a better exchange solution, then feeds back around, right? That if someone comes in a process a return or processes an exchange, and they say that it was too tight on the waist and we offer a larger size, the next time that an email campaign goes out, you can offer the right size to the person because you know that their previous purchase actually wasn't the right size for them. And so being able to see how that can feed across everything and create like a lot more one-to-one personalization, I think is a cool tie-in from what Aaron was talking about last week to what you just mentioned. Cool. So into question number two then on that back-to-back rapid fire. So a lot of brands right now, very high prep season for holiday coming up, Black Friday, Cyber Monday, can be make or break for a lot of brands, right? What conversations are you having currently with brands and how to help them prep for Black Friday, Cyber Monday?
Yeah, I really break this down into two different sides. One is kind of the customer facing side, and then one is operationally. How do you do things? Really, we're focused right now mostly on the customer facing. That's the stuff that you can kind of prep beforehand. Operational, I'll get to in a second, but there's honestly a laundry list of things that you probably just aren't thinking about, but should be related to return specifically, right? And so what we're doing, we're having these conversations with brands, starting to talk through a lot of these things that maybe aren't as top of mind. Some of these are, for example, extended return windows. It's important that like a lot of brands will actually extend the return experience out through a few days into January or January 15th or something along those lines. Return portals have a policy in there, and a lot of times the policy rejects them if they're outside of the return window. But from your Black Friday, Cyber Monday sales, you need to make sure that that like extends. And so anyway, there's a few lists. I'll actually probably go over a few of them, but the whole high level behind this is that you really should optimize and go through your returns experience in the same way that you're doing that with your website and testing everything on the website in advance, and all your ads, of course, right? All in advance of Black Friday, Cyber Monday, because it's the back end of the experience, right? So you know you're going to have customers going through it. Make sure it's optimal so that you're retaining the revenue, but also retaining the shoppers from all these sales. It's a massive portion of the sales throughout the year in a lot of cases. So anyway, so some of those customer experiences, return windows, final sale. So sometimes brands will have final sale things, and you need to make sure that that's set up so it's listed as final sale on the site. It's also final sale in your returns provider, and so that doesn't get returned accidentally. Have the return provider actually recreate discount codes, and so shoppers kind of get mad if they got a discount and then they come back through, make an exchange, and their discount doesn't apply. Like, I feel cheated, right? And that's a small thing, but it does happen. And so make sure that even if it's an expired discount code, which will mostly be the case for all these Black Friday sales, you need to make sure that your returns provider can actually account for that and take care of the customer on the back end. Shop on site. So exchange experience, being able to take customers that are wanting an exchange, take them to the site, typically increases exchange rates. That's money in the pocket from these sales that you want back. A couple others are just with our AI, there's a lot that we can set up now to train the AI. And so it is worth going through that. If you can tick up your exchange rate by another 3%, 5%, or sometimes we see 10%, 15 if you're switching from another provider a lot of times. Every little bit that you can do during this time period counts extra, of course. So last one that I'd say is like gift returns. There are a lot of more
That's what I was
gift
just going to say too.
returns. Yeah.
It's
And
like
so make
gifting
sure.
specifically because it's like such a big piece while you buy for somebody else and then like then what? So how do you How do you navigate that piece?
Yeah, so there's really a few challenges with gift returns. One is, well, first off, shoppers don't want to go back to the gift giver and say like, "Hey, so where's the receipt?" And so that can kind of be a little painful. So usually, what we do on the portal of the brands, we provide just a little gift return link. That gift return link obviously pulls up information. You want to validate that the shopper is who they say they are. Obviously, you can't just blindly let people return stuff, and so they do need to provide things like order and who is the original purchaser, provide some of that data to essentially log in. Uh, if it is all accurate, they'll get logged in. If it's not, we do provide a little form that they can fill out to list as much information as they can. And usually it's things like what was the product, what was the size, how did that work, and hey, who is the gift giver? Just all the information that they can give, and that'll get sent to the brand so they can actually validate it and make sure, okay, this really is a gift giver, just to prevent some of the fraud. And then they can actually send out a link to the customers and say, yep, here you go. Go ahead and make the gift return here. One underrated one as well that I'll mention is just gift receipts. So we do have a gift receipts feature, which is just a nice thing. A lot of times a shopper might reach out, a gift giver might reach out and say, hey, can I actually get a receipt for this item in case they want to make a return? And the brand can just click a couple buttons, provide an electronic receipt that they send to the gift giver or the original purchaser, and they can just print it off or whatever else, little QR code, scan that, they get right in, and makes it really easy to make some gift returns. So super small things, but important during this time of year.
Very good. Very good. Who's setting that up? Like, are we doing some pushes right now where we have our account management team that's helping build out flows and make sure everything's optimized for Black Friday, Cyber Monday, or what would you recommend to people on the call?
Yep, there are just a couple of settings within a redo. We actually have an AI agent within there if you want to just go there and click help and then talk with the agent, say like, hey, can I set up gift receipts? And that'll allow them to set up a couple of these additional features. The main gift returns one is already enabled by default, but the email to send to your email that has a little form if shoppers don't have the info, and the gift receipts as well are just settings in there. So you can do that. And then our account managers are just starting all of the Black Friday, Cyber Monday calls. So if you haven't had a call with them, contact them, and highly recommend chatting with them.
Cool. Very cool. Thanks, Jordan. Last time that we spoke, we talked a good amount about personalization and improved reporting that's happening in the platform. Want to follow up on that piece as well. I know we had a couple things in beta that you had shown, and so curious to hear the progress that you've made on those pieces over the past couple weeks.
Yeah. There's a few here. The first one that I'll mention, well, obviously just the AI exchange agent. We've already talked about that. Just good recommendations. We've now added the customer record into that. We weren't really utilizing the data points from other products into that. So if you're cross product, then that's already out of the gate and working for you. The additional training on a per product or per collection basis and associated with other products is the other feature that we've launched. It's very new, so a lot of people don't know how to find it. So if you are a redo a customer today, it's just in settings and exchanges, and then there's a couple of different tabs at the top. So anyway, that can allow, there's a little bit of training on how to do that too of things. Just AI can be finicky. So recommend working with the account manager on that one. A couple of the others, in talking with some brands, or as we looked at return reasons that brands collect, a lot of times we say like, hey, how are you utilizing that data? A lot of the times they get in and say it's not actually providing all the information that we want it to be, and it's not very specific. So they're like, yeah, great, our most sold items are returned because they're too big. Cool. And how does that help me? And so you're like, too big where? So we did ship, I think we talked about it last time, but now it's fully available for everyone, is AI return reasons. And so it actually is just a little quick chat that's an AI chat that can kind of be customized on how specific you want to make sure it gets, or how general, just to make sure you optimize for the customer experience, kind of specific to your product, but it'll make sure it gets enough detail to really know why someone's returning this. So it's too big. Great. Can you explain what more is too big? And you say, oh yeah, it's like a little tight around on the shoulders or something. Great. That's a big piece that now goes into these recommendations, and a lot of personalization that you're kind of going to have very personalized just record or recommendations based off of that info. Last one, this is one in beta, but is a bonus agent. So a lot of brands today give out bonuses for exchanges. And a lot of times that's great, but there is a couple challenges with it where you're giving out too much to people who are constantly returning and not giving out enough to your first time shoppers. And so there's a lot that we've done now where we do have an agent. This one's in beta now officially, where you actually have an agent recommending what's best for the merchant to get the exchange. Sorry, for the shopper to get the exchange. And so that's beginning testing, doing a lot of A/B tests on that, and I'm sure by next time we'll chat. Hopefully that'll be available for everyone here.
Very cool. Great update. We had a question come in that I think is a bit more generic, but I'm going to throw it at you, Jordan, and we'll go off it. But Peter, appreciate the question. This question was, the concept of the customer record is very cool, but unless I'm missing it, it's not explicitly surfaced in Redo. I see audiences in marketing, but that's a very singular view. When do you expect to fully visualize the record? It'd be useful for support agents to be able to tag troublemakers and returns instead of having that done manually. I summarized a bit at the end, but would love to kind of hear your answer on that piece, Jordan.
Yeah, yep. So there is some, first off, our just general navigation is a little confusing to use. So there is some places that this gets surfaced. There's more that we're doing. Aaron would actually be the best one to answer this question. Just he actually knows the roadmap and timeline on the customer record holistically. But there are some places where you can literally click into a customer, see a quick summary, and then click into the timeline. Thought that was available for all merchants, but I'd need to get back just to make sure that I'm not sharing incorrect information, that timeline, you can actually see that clicking into merchant by merchant. It's also hard to digest, to be honest, because this idea of a customer record is personalized. And so if you have your entire shopper base, clicking into each one is, anyway, it's just kind of hard to like digest generally. So open to feedback, Peter, or anyone else that you have ideas on like how you'd want that surfaced. We would absolutely love to hear any ideas you have.
Okay, awesome. Appreciate that, Jordan. Last piece, and we'll end this on this question probably every time, but like, what's next? Like, what are you most excited about? You wake up in the morning, you come into work, like, what are you most excited to go and build within returns?
Yeah, there's really two. One is continuing to build out a lot of the AI. We've talked a lot about AI for the shopper. I think there's a lot of opportunities for AI on the merchant side. For example, we haven't really talked too much about this, but we do have a review agent, and it's actually surfaced for everyone that's like, hey, AI review. And it's kind of like collapsed by default just so it's not crazy. But if you're on returns with Redo, go click into those. It actually has some fantastic information in there. And today, a lot of people, actually, we pulled this data for people on when things are marked for manual review, it's because they're marked as either wrong product or damaged. And if we pulled the data, most merchants approve 100% of returns that are marked for manual review. So if you think about that today, take away that work. Don't even like look at it, just let it through because you're approving 100%. And it's not uncommon just because your support team's going fast. They're doing things. They're maybe not trained, or you have new agents or whatever that are doing this job. AI is actually very, very good in those descriptions. And so AI can actually say, hey, this should be approved. Let it auto approve. And we actually already have all these features out. I just don't think they've been broadly adopted just because there's a little bit of education of like, hey, how is your team manually reviewing these things today? But that one gets me really excited because there's a lot more that we can do just in there to like help operationalize some of those reviews. There are other things on the merchant side, like understanding all of the return reasons, AI helping digest those a little bit better. Also, just understanding return rate increases. So there are times we've had a couple brands recently. I think 2025 has been a tough year for a lot of e-com, and return rates have increased at times in 2025. And so brands will come to us and say like, hey, what are you seeing with our data? So this is something in beta, but we actually have a way to generate a report. The AI will go look at a bunch of different things. And it's actually not things that you would think about, but like do require a lot of digging in data. And some of those things are like, some people have their higher return rate, and it's actually just because they pushed their ads or did sales on products that have high return rates. So their distribution of which products they sold changed. And that actually increased their return rate, but on a product by product basis, it was flat. Or switch 3PL, higher wrong product returns. And so we have an AI agent that will actually go analyze all those things, like build a document that outlines everything. Still figuring out the best way to like digest it and like get it because there's like a lot of info. So we're kind of working through those things. But anyway, lots of merchant enablement with AI. Sorry, I'm just talking a lot, I guess, today. But the last one that I'd mentioned is international. Get really excited about international returns. It is a beast to figure out. A lot of brands don't even know where to start with international returns. And so we've done just a lot of digging and research and been standing up partnerships with carriers, with aggregators, and even consolidators for international returns that can drastically reduce the cost of returns and improve just the shopper experience drastically when it comes to those things. So happy to dive more into that in maybe another episode because
Yeah,
that one's kind of deep. But
we'll give that another 8 weeks to simmer, and then we'll dive
yeah,
into that one on the next round.
awesome.
Okay, Jordan, very, very much appreciate you jumping on. It's always great hearing kind of what you're building, what you're most excited about, what's working and what isn't. And so very valuable. Appreciate you jumping on and sharing everything today.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Brandon.
Okay, we'll see you.